Hi, my name is Colin Overweg. I'm a certified financial planner, owner of a virtual financial planning company, and for the past 2 years have been recognized by Investopedia as a top 100 most influential advisors in the country. The video you're about to watch is a live recording that I did through TikTok or YouTube. Just as a friendly reminder, the opinions expressed in this video are my own and not the official opinions of Advise Wealth Management or its employees. None of the information in this video should be taken as investment advice. It's very possible some of the stuff I say is inaccurate because I'm doing this live and I don't have the capacity to go back, rewatch this, and edit it. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoy the video. Hello, this is Colin.
Hi, Colin. This is Jim. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jim. How about yourself?
I'm good. Sorry I missed your call, bro. I was waiting for it. I don't know how the hell I missed it.
All good, man. All good. Thank you for calling in. You're on live?
Man.
Yeah, of course, you're on live right now. So just wanted to remind you here that, if you don't want to, don't share too much personal information, but would love to know, just kind of getting started here, Jim, where are you calling from?
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania right now, and I'm actually at work, but I got permission to take my lunch break right now, actually, to do this call. So I appreciate your time.
That's awesome, Jim. Well, hopefully we can make it worth your time here, and I'll try to be snappy for you. What's on your mind, Jim? What are you thinking about financially?
So basically, I have a couple questions in regards to basically a lot of retirement stuff is what I'm basically working on right now, and just some questions to sure I'm on right track here.
Okay.
Long story short, I was a public school teacher for 13 years from 2002 to 2015. So I have a pension worth about $100,000 that I have not been able to contribute to since 2015 because that's when I left the profession. But now I'm a truck driver, and I started up my 401k and my Roth IRA, which I have 30% of my pay being direct deposited to. So I have about $22,000 in there right now.
Okay.
I had 10% last year coming out. I just switched to 30% on January 1, like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Nice. Let's go, Jim. You're the man.
Yeah. So I'm trying to just see, get someone else's. Most of what I've been doing here has been on my own, reading books, watching TikTok, YouTube, anything I can get my hands on.
Okay.
But I've always been trying to find someone like you who I could actually talk to about my specifics and get some feedback. So again, I appreciate it.
That's awesome. Well, of course, hey Jim, I gotta be fully transparent with you because I don't want to give you any bad advice here because, of course,
Right.
I don't know you, so I just want to make sure that you're totally aware this is just for education, and I'm gonna try to do my best.
Absolutely. No, I'm totally fine with that. I just look at this as another part of my education here that I'm putting myself through. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Perfect. So, Jim, what's kind of the first question here? You said that you're, putting 30% into the 401k and to the Roth IRA and stuff like that. Sounds like you're doing a heck of a job. What can I help you with?
Well, my question is, and this might be a dumb. Well, first off, my expense ratio is 0.062. I'm in a targeted 2045 plant program right now. Okay. And I know the expense ratios are supposed to be like as close to like 0.03. Mine's 0.06. Is that okay? Like, is that a good? I mean, I know it's not 0.03, but is 0.06 okay?
Jim, if you're paying 0.06, that is awesome. I mean, you're paying very little. I mean, on $1,000, what would that be? Like $6?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great expense ratio. So just for everyone listening right now, what we're talking about is that within every single ETF or target date fund or investment that you have mutual fund within your IRA or 401k, there's going to be something called an expense ratio. Believe it or not, they don't do this stuff for free. So it's important to know what that expense ratio is. So if you're paying, I've seen things that are as high as 1%, and that's not good. 1% is extremely high. And then there's things that are paying as low as 0.03%, which is what Jim just alluded to. So if we can kind of aim more towards that 0.03 side, like Jim is, he's at 0.06, that is awesome. That's a great expense ratio. So far, I'm loving everything you're telling me.
Good deal. Then my other question is this. I have 20% of that 30% coming out going into my 401k,
Okay.
which my employer matches a quarter on every dollar up to 6%.
Okay.
And then the other 10% is going into the Roth IRA. So 20 in the 401k and 10 in the Roth. My question is this. Why do it as part of a retirement? Would I be better off maybe going down from 30% down to 15% and then doing the other 15% just in stocks, like investing on my own, as opposed to having all 30% locked up in a retirement account? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're asking, hey, I'm putting 30% of my income into these relatively tax advantageous accounts, but the downside is that they might be locked up for a longer period. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Exactly. Yeah. Why wouldn't I do 15 and 15? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, Jim, how young are you, man?
I'm 45 right now.
Okay, so Jim, you're 45, and when do you want to retire?
I would love to go when I'm 65, but I mean, I kind of like what I'm doing. I always have. But I don't see myself as one of those people who totally ever retires. I'll always be doing something, I envision.
Yeah.
But I'd like to get out when I'm 65.
Okay.
So I have the option to.
Yeah. So Jim, it sounds like, hey, you love what you do, which, that's awesome. I mean, I think most people can't even say that. So that's huge. But if you're trying to make work become optional, retirement become optional around 65, my thought is that what's the problem with locking up this money in a 401k or Roth IRA? Because you have access to it by age 59 and a half. So, that gives you a 5-year buffer before you even wanted to retire. So it almost seems like putting it into into the Roth and 401ks, that doesn't really seem, at least based on timeline and locking the money up, that doesn't feel like it's a big risk right now for your specific situation. Does that seem accurate?
Good. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. I mean, that's what I was hoping to hear, because that's what I thought too, but I just wanted to make sure. So, no, I appreciate that info for sure. And the other part of this is I've done all the financial calculators, what this age, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
Would you be able to do one real quick, like financial calculator on me with my age and my income and all that real quick, just to make sure that I'm doing the correct way? Is that something you could do real quick, or?
Absolutely, man.
Would you mind?
I'm wondering if I should do it on the whiteboard or if I should do it on the computer here. Why don't you go ahead and throw some numbers out, and then I'll kind of just start deciding whether I want to do it on the computer or if I want to do it on the whiteboard behind me here. So let's kind of start over the basics here. We're age 45 and we want to retire at 65, right?
Correct.
Okay. And how much are you earning income today?
70 grand a year right now is what I'm making.
Awesome. Okay, 70 grand per year. And we know that you're saving 30%. So let me pull up a calculator here. So if I go $70,000 times 0.3, you're saving, 10% was to the Roth. So actually, that doesn't make how much are we contributing to the Roth every month?
So the Roth, I based my last year's salary was $60,000, and I know you can put 6,500 in a Roth.
Okay.
So I just did 10% to the Roth and threw out 70 because we got a little bit of a raise.
Nice.
So the goal is going to be the 6,500 in the Roth and the rest into the 401k at the end of the year.
All right, you're the man. You're the man, Jim. You know more than so many callers, so this is awesome. I thought I caught you there because I thought you said 10%, which 10% of 70,000 is 7,000, which is more than we can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right, awesome. So let me do 70,000 times 0.2, which is 20%. You're doing $14,000 to the 401k, right?
Yes, that's correct. It will be this year, yes.
Beautiful. Okay. So we got 70,000 coming in, that's gross. Then we're doing 6,500 to the Roth, 14,000 to the 401k, and now Lord knows there's some taxes in there. So
Correct.
just for simplicity, because payroll tax is 7.65%, and then we have federal tax on top, which is about, let's call it 15%, and then we have state tax, which Pennsylvania, I don't know off the top of my head, I'm going to guess around 4 or 5. So all in, we're probably around like 22% tax. Is that okay if I use that number just for simplicity?
I was just going to tell you, I get my breakdown of my paychecks, 21.5% is taxes and like union dues and stuff.
Yeah.
So 21.5 and 30% is the retirement, and 49.5 is my take home. So yeah, you hit that right on, 21 and a half.
All right, perfect. Okay, awesome. So I'm glad that we're on track here. So this is actually going to be a really great plan, I think, for the whiteboard, which is a little bit more engaging and fun. And by the way, Jim, I'll be able to post this on YouTube for you, and you can watch this video. Cool. So,
awesome.
So Jim, what do we have then for living expenses? Because you're saving so much to the 401k, you have stuff. You got money going to the Roth, you got money going to taxes. Are you pretty much just kind of spending the rest of the money? Could we just say that the rest of the money just goes towards like, rent, utilities, whatever?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I worked backwards from my expenses. Well, I made my retirement my first priority, and then I made my expenses fit what was left.
Jim, you're making me like just grin from ear to ear.
And I made my expenses fit what was left.
Jim, you're making me like just grin from ear to ear. This is awesome. Okay.
It took a while, but I got there.
You're crushing it, dude. You're crushing it. Okay, so one more question here. Well, probably a couple more. Are you renting or do we own a home right now?
So my wife and I just got a divorce, unfortunately, but
Sorry.
I am right now renting. Like I've owned houses 4 separate times, sold all of them. I don't own any of them now, unfortunately. But right now I'm just renting a very small apartment to keep the bills low.
Okay. Not my business, Jim, but money is such an issue with couples. I actually just got married last year, and I'm trying to do everything in my power to keep a strong relationship with my wife. Did money have anything to do with that relationship maybe not going the way we wanted?
Actually it didn't. It was a series of like other things, and money. What she was actually really good with money. So no, I can't even say.
Okay.
She and I are still cordial, still friendly.
Good.
But money has torn apart damn near every other marriage I've ever seen, but not ours, thankfully.
Any advice relationally for myself as a 1 year into a marriage?
The one thing I can tell you is make sure you guys have separate accounts, but have one account that you both contribute to. We made a mistake early on she just told me basically, you handle the finances, you're good with it, you like doing it, we'll put all the money in one account, and we just went from there. And it actually worked out really well, but it did create some problems because when we started having problems, then all of a sudden questions came up that never arose before. So if I would tell you anything, I would tell you guys to have very, very distinct separate accounts. to where her pay goes into her account and she takes care of whatever bills you guys decide. You have yours, and then both of you together contribute to one that's both of yours. Don't just have everything as both of yours.
Okay. So make sure,
that would be my biggest advice.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim, for that advice. So looking back at the financial plan, let's just assume then, just for simplicity here, that we're just going to keep renting forever, because honestly, if you bought a house, then your financial plan in the long term would end up probably better. So if that's cool with you, I'm just going to keep it even more conservative and assume that we just keep renting forever, if that's cool with you.
That's correct. Yeah, I was going to tell you that's pretty much the plan right now.
Awesome. And going back to what we have saved today, you mentioned that there's a pension with about $100,000. Is that was that with the current employer and you're going to be able to take an income stream, or is that a lump sum of money that someday you're just going to like move over to your IRA someday?
So that was going to be my very next question to you, because here's the way the state of Pennsylvania is set up is when you retire from the education field, you get if you work 30 years, you get 80% of your 4 highest salaries.
Nice. Okay.
So I only worked 13 years before I left the profession. So I'm not going to qualify for the 80% of the top 4, but I do have, which I guess to answer your question before I ask mine, is yes, there's $102,000 in there that built up over 17 years, even though I stopped investing after 13 of those years.
Mm-hmm.
So there's $102,000 in there that I could do anything I want with. And that was going to be my next question to you. Should I leave that and let it continue to grow until 30 years is up, or I'm sorry, until 59 is up, because that's when I can pull it?
Mm-hmm.
Or should I take that and put it with this stuff and have it all together growing at once?
Fantastic question, Jim. What I'm going to recommend is that you reach out to the pension company and ask for some illustrations. So you can say, hey, what does it look like if I drew this money today? They'll probably say, could I move the money to my 401k right now and just take $102,000? More than likely they'll say, yep, go ahead. But what we want to know is, what is that pension going to continue to grow like? Because it's possible that they might have some guarantees within that pension, and it's very possible that, because what we're going to try to do if we move it to your 401k is we're going to try to create you an income stream from your 401k in retirement. But if you have a pension, I have seen multiple times where pensions actually pay out a guaranteed rate that is like somewhere in the 7 or 8% range. So, for example, that, if you just used a genuine or a rule of thumb here, with 100,000, you could withdraw around 4% per year. That's kind of the safe withdrawal rate that a lot of advisors will talk about. So that's only going to pay you $4,000 per year. That's not that much.
Right.
But if that pension would pay you $7,000 or 7%, maybe that's more like 7,000. So I can't answer what we want to do with that, because also too, I don't know what it's going to look like in the future, because I'll tell you what, going from 45 to 65, your money should double at least twice during that time frame. So your $100,000 from 45 to 55 should look like 200,000, and then when you double from 55 to 65, that 200,000 should grow to like 400,000.
Okay.
So now all of a sudden, if you're withdrawing 4% of 400,000, now we're talking at least more like 16,000, plus that is increasing with inflation over time. The short answer is I'm not sure, but what we're going to do for today is assume that you just move it to the 401k, because that's going to be the more conservative approach.
Okay.
Is that cool with you? We're just going to keep it as conservative as we can.
Definitely. Yes. I always like to go for the lower numbers.
Awesome. For anyone that's just joining us here, we have Jim on the phone. He's from Pennsylvania. He's age 45, wants to retire at 65, and we're about to do a financial plan on the whiteboard here. And Jim, we're going to tell you whether I think you're on track or not.
Perfect.
Awesome. Last question here. I think last question is going to be how much is in the Roth IRA and the 401k today? And then I'm going to run the numbers on the board. We should be done in about 5 minutes here.
The totals together are 21,796, so 22,000.
22,000 between the two accounts. Awesome. And for the sake of today's conversation, I'm just going to put them all into one basket. So you got 124,000 total, because I think you said the pension was 102.
Right. Exactly.
All right, awesome. So we got 124,000 saved. We got our income down. We got our expenses. We got our savings rate. Let's hit the whiteboard and see what this thing looks like in 20 years if you keep doing what you're doing. All right, Jim, I'm running to the whiteboard here. You'll be able to watch this on YouTube in about like 4 days or whenever I get the chance to go and upload this thing.
No, that's great. I can't wait. I told my family I was doing this, so I'm hoping they can watch it.
Jim, you're the man. I appreciate you jumping in here. Okay. So I got my notes here. We are going to run through this here. All right. So the first thing I'm drawing here, Jim, is a timeline, because at the top of our timeline, and actually I'm going to use a black pen because hopefully that shows up just a little bit better for our audience. Okay. So here we are in the year 2023, and we are age 45, and we are going to retire at age 65 in, let's see, that should be an easy one, in the year 2043. What do you think about that, Jim, retiring in the year 2043?
That would be tremendous. I would love to have that option.
All right, so today we are earning $70,000 per year before tax, and then after that, we have right away, we have to minus out tax, which we said was 22%, which is $15,400. All right, so $15,400 for tax, and then between the 401k, we're just gonna actually we're gonna do 401k and IRA together. So 401k is $14,000, the IRA is $6,500, so $20,500 between the two. And we're just actually going to use that with green so that we know that we're saving that. $20,500. Okay, so left over then, let's go ahead and do some math here. So if we have 70,000 gross income, and then we minus 15,400 for taxes, and then we minus 20,500 for savings, that means, Jim, that we have 34,100 left for spending.
Okay.
Would you say that your rent, food, groceries, utilities is about 3,000 a month?
Yeah, I was going to say it's about 1,500 a month actually, but yeah, three grand definitely covers it.
Okay, awesome. So the first thing that we got to do is identify how much your living expenses are going to be in retirement. Because if we're spending around 3 grand a month in living expenses, or 34,100, that's in today's dollars. But we know that inflation has been increasing the price of everything. Have you been feeling that at the grocery store, that things are getting a little more pricey?
Absolutely.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yes, it's not. Eggs were $5 a dozen out here yesterday, and that is insanity.
Insanity. Exactly. Okay, so I'm just going to use inflation at 3%. I know that the last couple years it's been higher, but really for the last 20 years, it's been in like the 2% range. So the historical average is 3%. So if we just ballpark that, if you're spending $34,000 today, Jim, any guesses to what you're going to have to be spending in 20 years?
It's at least going to double. I mean, I would assume it would be double. That would be with inflation, if I stayed the same and just, I wouldn't say double, maybe like I'd say like just to be safe that 34 would at least go up to 5,000.
Yeah. So you're almost spot on. It ends up being 61,500. So $5,000 per month, almost spot on.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay. So now we got to get income to Jim to the tune of about 61,500. But now here's the kicker, Jim. We're going to have some type of Social Security, aren't we? I mean, everyone's talking about Social Security being defunded, and that is correct. It's underfunded to the extent it is today. But I think it's going to be a pretty tough political move to completely get rid of Social Security altogether. So what I've been doing and what I've been reading is to discount Social Security somewhere to the tune of like 25 to 35%. Okay?
Makes sense.
So if the average Social Security right now is around $1,800 per month, if you inflated that at 3% inflation for the next 20 years, that means your Social Security should be $3,200 per month. That would be if Social Security was fully funded. However, I don't think it's going to be fully funded. So what do you think? Should we just cut that by like 60%?
I would think it would be like at least down to 24, 25.
Or yeah, cut it. Yeah, excuse me. Let's cut it by 40% so you get 60% left.
Okay.
That means that you're going to be receiving 1,950 from Social Security.
Oh wow, 19. Okay.
So that's not too bad. That's 23,400 per year.
Yes. $2,000 a month. Okay.
So that's Social Security. All right, Jim. So now we have to now this is where the rubber meets the road, is because you need 61,500 for living expenses, and Social Security is only paying you 23,400. So we have a gap here. We have a $38,000 gap. So where the heck are we going to come up with 38,000? Well, my friend,
That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here, right? Exactly. So,
Yeah.
so Jim, and Jim's on the phone with us. Anyone that's joining us here just now, Jim is from Pittsburgh. He's calling in, and he is age 45, wants to retire by 65, and his gross income is 70,000. We lessed out taxes. We lessed out his 401k and Roth IRA savings to identify his current living expenses at about 34,000 per year. We increased his living expenses with inflation and identified that he needs 61,500 per year to maintain the current standard of living, to continue to pay the same rent, food, groceries. Jim, how much are eggs these days? $5 now?
Yeah, too much in Pittsburgh.
Too much, man.
$5.
We just ran and found that Social Security is going to be conservatively taking a 40% reduction approximately at about $23,400 per year. So that means we have a $38,000 gap, and we need to identify how the heck are we going to get that $38,000 safely to Jim's pocket. Well, using a safe 4% withdrawal rate, we need a pile of assets here. I'm going to put a big circle here. We need a pile of assets that Jim can be withdrawing from. And at 4%, that means, Jim, we need about $950,000. $950K. Are you ready for us to do the math and do the drum roll and see if you're on track?
I feel like I'm on a game show. Yes, I want to see what the total is.
All right, everyone's getting pumped up here. We want to know, Jim, if you're going to make it. I'm on your team, brother.
We need the Jeopardy music right now.
The Jeopardy music. Okay. So for everyone in the chat that doesn't know, we have 124,000 saved today. So let's see if we can see it down here. We have 124,000 saved today. And we're contributing 20,500 per year through the 401k and the Roth IRA. Jim, what do you think is a reasonable growth rate? The market has averaged around 9 or 10%, but I feel like we should start out with 8 just to be safe. Is that cool?
I always go lower. So yes,
All right.
more conservative.
Let's go with 8% here. So we got 124,400 today. I'm just going to use the exact, or actually it's just 124,000 even. 124,000 even. That is the present value. We're going to grow this money at 8% for the next 20 years. And we're contributing 20,500 per year. Oh man, Jim, are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm hoping. My fingers are crossed.
Jim, you are on track to have $1.5 million by the time you're 65.
Nice. That's the secret. I've secretly wanted over $1 million, but 1.5 is wonderful.
1.5 million.
Wow.
Jim, you absolutely crushed it, man.
Wow.
The chat is going crazy. Everyone's here for you, Jim.
I'm so happy. Thank you for this.
Jim, you're honestly, I took the conservative approach on every corner here. Let's actually do a little bit of fun here and let's work backwards. I'm curious if you only saved for 15 years, meaning that what do you think you'd have by age 60?
Oh man, you said 1.5 was 65, right?
That's correct, sir.
I would think that 5 years off of, so we use 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking it would double twice, so if it would double 1.5, would knock a half off. It would be oh hell, I can't even do that. I think $1 million. I think.
You're really close, Jim. It's 950,000.
Hey, that still's fine with me. And you mean that's 5 years early? That's when I'm 60.
That's exactly right.
Oh, that's great. So that even buys me another 5 years then.
But then, Jim, we have to remember that Social Security, you can't start that at age 60.
Oh, that's right. Right. What's the best? I know, 72 or something's the best age, but what age can you start Social Security? 62 or something, 66?
You can start Social Security at age 62. However, Jim, it's probably going to be in your best interest to wait until age 70 because Social Security continues to grow at about 6.5% from age 62 to age 67. And then from age 67 to 70, it grows at about 8% per year.
Okay.
Which, that's guaranteed growth.
Last, basically.
Right. So we
looking at use my Roth and my 401k money first, and then tap the social at 70 or whatever, the latest possible.
That's exactly right.
Cool.
Yep. So,
man, am I happy right now? I appreciate this.
That's awesome, Jim. We're really glad that you called in here, man. One thing the chat is kind of reminding me of, 8% folks are saying is pretty hopeful. They're saying that's kind of on the high end. Now, here's the thing, though, that I want everyone to remember is that we increased Jim's living expenses by 3%. And we're using 8% as a nominal number. So really, Jim's money is only growing at a real rate, meaning after inflation, at 5%. So that feels okay. Would I love to see this plan be successful at 7%? Well, I can almost guarantee you here, Jim, that you're going to be fine at 7% because you needed 950,000 and you're on track to have 1.5 million. So even if we didn't quite get that full 8%, I'm feeling pretty confident in your plan. That probably would have been a good number to run. And actually, I'm just going to quick do that for you. So for 20 years, let's go back and say instead of getting 8%, you get 7%. What do we end up with? Instead of having 1.5 million, you got 1.3 million.
Oh, wow. So that's okay. That's still more than okay then.
Yeah, but I appreciate the chat. They're keeping me honest here. And that's a good thing. We're in this as a team, and I want to
absolutely.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we're not using false hope or anything like that. We want to be conservative.
I appreciate them also. Thank you, chat people.
Yep, exactly. Hey, Jim, I'm going to throw this on YouTube here. Last disclosure, of course, is that this is not advice. I don't know Jim. I'm not his advisor. We're just out here having fun and sharing some educational ideas. So if any of this is something that you want to implement, you got to do your own research. You got to do your own homework. But hopefully you did learn something, and maybe this gave you some ideas to implement for yourself.
Totally understand. Yes. Thank you for your time. And I appreciate everybody in the chat as well. Good luck to all you guys. And hopefully we can talk again sometime.
Hey Jim, let's stay connected on Twitter because I'm really rooting for you, and I want to. If you ever have any questions, feel free to send me a message.
I appreciate that. Thank you again. I really, really appreciate this.
Absolutely, man. We'll talk soon, and have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you guys. Have a great one.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. If that wasn't a blast, I mean, come on. That was great. I think that was a ton of fun. So I just want to do one recap here for anyone who just jumped in. That was like a perfect caller because what a happy story, right? So Jim from Pennsylvania called in and wanted to ask some questions about his financial plan. Jim is currently 45 years old in 2023, of course. He wanted to retire by age 65 in 2043. The first thing we got to do is identify what the gross income is, so before tax. Then we went ahead and lessed out some taxes. This was 22%, and he said that that was pretty darn close. From there, he is currently saving 20% to the 401k, and he's saving $6,500 to the Roth IRA. So that adds up to $20,500. So whatever's left over after taxes and savings, we could probably assume he's spending. Jim actually said that I don't even think I'm spending $3,000 a month, but we just went ahead and used it anyway because if it's not being saved, it's probably somehow sneakily being spent, you know, in those random gifts or things like that that you don't necessarily think about that are non-reoccurring. So that's where we got to start our plan is $34,100 is 100 expenses. That's your food, groceries, rent in Jim's case, and things that we need to continue to spend. In the future, assuming a 3% inflation, I understand that inflation's high today, but historically for the last 100 years, it's been about 3%. So I'm just using that as a ballpark approach. $61,500 is our new living expense. We then assumed $23,400 for Social Security. Now you might tell me that Social Security is underfunded, and I'd agree. But what we did is we assumed average in Social Security payment is around $1,800 today. We increased it by 3% for the next 20 years, and then I took a 40% haircut. And that is where we came up with the $23,400. I'm guessing that Social Security is going to be slightly underfunded, whether they have to increase the age in which you take Social Security, or maybe they're going to reduce the amount of benefits. My gut feeling is they're not going to be reducing a ton of benefits for maybe some middle to lower income Americans. That would be my gut feeling. So that's what we're running with is $23,400. So that means that after Social Security, he has a deficit of $38,000 per year. Where is that $38,000 going to come from? I'll tell you what, it's going to come from a big pile of assets that you can be withdrawing $38,000 per year. Jim's target was $950,000. However, he currently has $124,000 saved today, and he's saving $20,500 per year. If Jim keeps doing that and he gets an 8% annual rate of return, he is going to have $1.5 million. We ran the number at 7% as well, and he ends up at 1.3 million. So if he gets 7% growth, well, his expenses grow by 3%. He's only growing at a real rate of return after inflation at 4%. That to me is pretty darn conservative. Historically, the market grows at around 9 to 10% with inflation at 3%. So your real rate of return is somewhere around 6 to 7%. We're using 4, and he still passes with flying colors. This was a great financial plan, and Jim, I wish you the absolute best. All right. Man, that was a ton of fun.